Monday, January 13th. Our headlines are long balls, and our first of the day, long ball number one. We got to talk MLS news. We're going to get into the lawsuit business later, but there's plenty of transfer and camp talk to go around. So, Tom Bogert, he was our guest on Friday, and he teased that Atlanta might just break the MLS transfer record. And over the weekend, it came out that Atlanta is being connected to Middlesbrough striker Emmanuel Latte Laith. What do you think about that, Jason?
I mean, obviously, the numbers here, the numbers here that Tom's reporting, bid worth north of $18 million in the $20 million range with add-ons. That was his post about Atlanta United's bid. And then he followed up, as you can see on the screen here, with a list of the biggest transfers in MLS history. Now, Kevin Denke to FC Cincinnati just happened. Happened back in November. Denke has yet to play a game for Cincinnati. So that's a brand new record set, by $200,000 over Thiago Almada, who Atlanta United purchased, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever that was. He's obviously already out of the league. Ezequiel Barco, Atlanta, he's out of the league. They sold him for, I think, a profit. Pity Martinez, I know they sold Pity Martinez for a profit. And then Alexei Miranchuk. Look at this. After Cincinnati set the record with Denke, Atlanta, and now the story is they want to reclaim the record with this bid for Laith. And, you can't say Atlanta United is not ambitious. I mean, by MLS standards, this is PSG, this is Manchester City, this is Real Madrid. This is within our little world. It's nothing compared to what they spend on players, clearly, but within MLS, Atlanta United are the ones pushing the envelope, and I think it's fascinating. Now, it's almost one of those things, Rob, where it doesn't matter. Like, okay, if you're an Atlanta United fan, do you trust Garth Lagerwey and Henderson to figure this out? Right, Chris Henderson. Do you trust them to know what they're doing in terms of recruitment and signings? Yes or no?
Easy answer is yes. I would trust them because they have a track record. They have a proof of concept there already. They had some previous leadership that didn't have that proof of concept and proved to be spending in places where it didn't quite become as successful as their financial layout. And then Lagerwey, he's done his thing and has proven successful in previous stops. So add that plus Atlanta's resources that they're willing to put into it. It might be, the second coming of Atlanta United from that first generation of success there.
Right. You would feel like this is more Miguel Almiron than Pity Martinez or Ezequiel Barco, right? And there is a difference of character here in terms of Miranchuk, who was on that list, and obviously now with Laith. These are players who have done things in Europe or have come up through European ranks. Now, that's not to say they're better choices necessarily. We have to see them on the field in significant ways. Miranchuk has already played. We'll wait to see what happens with Laith. But considering Atlanta United's previous approach was to go and get Barco, right, out of an Argentine system. Pity Martinez, also Argentine. Miguel Almiron, Paraguayan, right? Or that pipeline from South America, I think, still is a thing Atlanta United will tap into in the future. But clearly, they are taking a look at different places to go shopping. And again, it's like, okay, how good is Laith? If you look at his numbers, if you compare, like if you think about what he's done as a player already, he's 26 years old, right? This is not a prospect.
He's not a spring chicken.
This is not a player who is who is 20 years old and has a lot of potential but hasn't proven anything, right? He's scored goals in his career at a number of places. Middlesbrough the last couple seasons, and Atlanta is saying we want to win now. We want to win now. And while spending $20 million used to be, or 16 or 15 or 14 used to be about, okay, we're going to buy this player, Pity Martinez, we're going to buy this player, Ezequiel Barco, we're going to buy this player, Miguel Almiron, Thiago Almada, and then in a couple of years' time, hopefully they help us win. but in a couple of years' time, we're going to make money off of them by selling them somewhere else. In most people's minds, that was supposed to be Europe. It clearly hasn't happened in every case, but we're going to sell these players and make money. And it's not impossible that they expect to make money on Lath, or at least recoup their spend on Lath. But if he's 26 and he scored goals in the championship, and they're talking about a approach to win games now, this is a different approach, right? This is a different way for Atlanta United, and I think that's fascinating here.
Yeah, looking at his track record so far this season for Middlesbrough, he's got 10 goals, 2 assists, 28 games. Last year, he played a full season, scoring 18 and 36. And then he was in Switzerland previous to that, scoring 16 goals, 3 assists in 34 appearances. So he has a pretty consistent record of scoring goals where he's been. So to your point, a win now, not necessarily an investment type of player.
You could also argue that they kind of did this with Giakoumakis, right? The Giakoumakis is in this. They didn't spend this kind of money on Giakoumakis, but he was a player that they brought in who who wasn't a young player anymore, who had scored a bunch of goals in other places, and he was very good for them. Ultimately, he moved on. He went to Cruz Azul, and Atlanta United, I think, probably did okay financially on that situation. So I don't know, that this is just interesting in terms of the way it paints a picture for Atlanta United and what they want to do. And again, the ambition is unrivaled in Major League Soccer.
Other bullet point notes from MLS over the weekend. Chicho Arango might be moving from San Jose from RSL. And then Velasco from Dallas to Boca Juniors looks like it's going to happen. Tom Bogert, if you looked at his feed, he ever since we talked to him on Friday morning, he was pretty much nonstop reporting events throughout the weekend.
Yeah, it was a busy time for Tom. After he got done with us, he rushed away to go break the Robin Fraser to TFC news, new head coach for them. He then subsequently broke the Chicho Arango move, and this one is interesting, right? This is Bruce Arena and San Jose taking a risk somewhat, or making trying to turn damaged goods into something that can help them win games. Because Chicho Arango, we know he can score in MLS, or we thought we knew he could score in MLS. He was incredible for the first half of the season for RSL last year, which helped them be in that playoff race near the top of the Western Conference. And then he got suspended, and I'm not sure anybody really knows exactly what's going on with that story or what happened there. And then he stopped scoring. He just could not score anymore. Now, I have looked and have seen a little bit of the analysis, and the underlying numbers are not all that different from first half to second half. So what is it? Did his finishing just drop off a table because he was still getting opportunities? He just wasn't converting them. And I'm sure that's what San Jose is thinking. San Jose is thinking, we've got a player here who basically spoiled his relationship in RSL for whatever reason, and wasn't happy there, but is proven to be a good goal scorer in Major League Soccer. And I don't remember if you have the numbers in front of you on what San Jose is sending RSL, Robert, but they're definitely not spending the $6 million that RSL used to get Chicho Arango back from Mexico and bring him to MLS again, right? So that was a record spend for RSL. So on some level, if you think about it, this is certainly a recognition of failure on RSL's part. Now, Chicho did some good things, but financially, in terms of the budget and the bottom line, it's not great for RSL. $1.4 million in GAM San Jose sends to RSL and an international roster spot. And again, remember that they signed him, RSL did, from Pachuca for $6 million. So that's selling low. That's losing money on your investment in a pretty significant way, and yet it's probably the best thing for all parties.
We'll talk about it probably later on in the week, but a number of American youths and players from MLS youth programs and national team setup did go overseas over the weekend, or was reported. One last note, what do you think of, there's also rumor that former Atlanta United and Montreal Impact, or if they're not called Impact anymore, Football de Montreal, they might get Martinez might be going.
Martinez.
Joseph Martinez might be going out there. So Maybe a little bit more of an entertainment factor on the West Coast there in San Jose, trying to get in on the action of the LA dominance that has been
I just think
prominent.
this is just Bruce doing what Bruce does, which is
He's got
again
gravity. He's got a gravity that hasn't been there, right?
well, I mean, Joseph Martinez is not the player he was in Atlanta, and I know he had a decent run and did some things and made it difficult on Atlanta in the playoffs last year. But he's not a top level MLS goal scorer anymore. What he is a spot starter and a guy who can give you minutes. And if you get 5 or 6 goals out of him, you'll call that a success in 2025. And again, they acquired Chicho Arango. So San Jose is bringing Arango is going to be the lead guy. They're spending significant gam on him, whatever he cost RSL. San Jose spending significant gam on him to bring him in, but they are buying low on Chicho Arango because of how bad he was in the second half of the season last year. Joseph Martinez is their insurance policy or their veteran presence to back up Chicho Arango. I don't imagine that they'll play together. I don't think that'll work very well. So you've got Bruce just kind of putting together pieces, scrapyard kind of things, pieces that are devalued for whatever reason. In Arango's case, he's already grabbed a couple of guys from his time in New England. This is Bruce is putting together a very Bruce team, and in the fact these are MLS veterans, none of whom are superstars, none of them who are going to cost a premium for San Jose. San Jose's not making $10 million bids to buy anybody. That's not going to happen. So how do you compete if you're San Jose in Major League Soccer? You do what Bruce is doing, which is to gather these pieces that are above average players in most cases. Even if none of them are world beaters, you hope that comes together, gives you a chance to make the playoffs and do something when you get there.
Yeah, raising the standard a bit at San Jose. We'll see how that turns